Hi, thanks for joining us today. I wanted to walk you through really quickly the tricky treat ball and how you can introduce this to your dog. So this is a great interactive feeder. It's nice and soft, so it's good for apartments. It's a little quieter than some of the other hard toys. It's hard to see here, but there is a bit of a neck inside there. You can pull that out to make it harder for your dog and cut the neck down. It's not super easy to do that. It's also not really easy to clean this toy. So just keep that in mind if you're dealing with allergies in the middle of a kind of a feeding trial or something like that. It's not going to be particularly easy to get any kibble residue or anything like that out. But it's a very good toy, very durable toy. I wouldn't maybe recommend it for hard chewing toys. It's not intended as a chew toy, but I maybe wouldn't leave it out with them. Maybe more of a supervision only toy. So I'm gonna fill it with some of this freeze-dried chicken. Riggs here is gonna demonstrate for us. He actually hasn't used this, I don't believe, so I don't think it'll be very challenging for him, but he can demonstrate for us. So if you have, I'm using freeze-dried chicken, but if you have kibble, I would definitely use that. With any of these kind of ball toys, the more food you put in, the easier it's going to be for them initially. So, well, with most toys, I'd recommend putting less in the first time you feed it. I'd put a fair bit amount of food in, so it's easy for it to come out, and they get a lot of reward for engaging with the toy. As they get better with it, maybe split their breakfast or something between 2 or 3 toys, and it'll be a little harder for them to get it out and just keep them preoccupied a little bit longer. So I'm gonna switch out the camera here and let Riggs show you how it's used. So I'm just gonna walk into the middle of the room here and give Riggs the tricky treat ball. It is a softer plastic, so it is nice for apartment buildings, or if you have nice furniture that your dogs haven't destroyed. It's going to be a little easier on your antiques than some of the harder toys, but maybe not quite as durable or ideal for dogs that are big chewers like Riggs. So I just would be careful. I wouldn't leave this toy out with him filled if I'm not watching or kind of can keep an eye on him. As you can see, he's already chewing it, so probably just kind of redirect him if I can, try and roll the ball and help him out. If you get this ball and can kind of cut down that nub inside, the tube inside yourself, it's not always easy to pull it out, but if you can manage to pull it out, you can cut it to make it easier or leave it harder for your dog. So for him, he's struggling with this a little bit, and especially with the type of treats I have in here, I would probably kind of cut that in half just to make it a little easier. You can tell he's just kind of frustration eating. If it was falling out a little faster, he probably would not be chewing on it. So again, I just kind of make it easier for him. If you're using smaller kibble, something like that, it's going to fall out a lot easier. And as they get used to the toy, they're probably going to be able to play with it with a little more duration. So he's just not quite sure what to make of it. The treats aren't coming out fast enough for him. I don't have a ton of treats in there, so again, just kind of redirect. Don't have to get mad at him, just kind of roll it and try and get him to play with it the way I'd like. As he chomps on it, you can kind of see how much softer that plastic is. So for him, this probably is not an ideal choice. I probably would go with the Kong Wobbler or the Gyro instead. It's just going to stand up to his play a little bit better. So again, I'm just going to try and roll it and get him to engage in it the way we'd like him to. If you're just starting, I would fill the ball up maybe not quite a bit, depends how difficult you've made it, but the more you put in initially, the more it's going to fall out, so they're just going to get that reward much faster and kind of get used to the toy and how it works. Once they kind of have the feel for it, you can put a lot less treats in, which would make it harder, but your dog already kind of knows the game, so they're going to kind of persevere and keep interacting with it, where, he's just not used to it, so he's just kind of goofing around.